And we are back. This is Fourth in Fantasy. I am your guy, your boy, the man, Honcho, and this is my guy.
Coming off a tremendous Mardi Gras. I'm going a little bit injured, but we are here. I took my Mardi Gras sabbatical. Sorry, people, but we are back. No more
We are
breaks.
back, man. Listen, we took this week off. There was a lot of hoopla. There was a lot of liquor going, a lot of parading. Shout out to that boy
Oh man,
Rocco.
my wife, like I was saying on a previous podcast, she's in a dance troupe called the Muffaladas. So I do what they call buddy warming, which is basically, crowd control, handing out waters, any kind of little thing they may need along the parade route. Um, but yeah, those parades are like 6 miles long, and we had five of them. So I walked about 2.5 marathons in 10 days. And by
Oof.
the last one, I got drunk as a skunk on the last one. I was even doing the dance moves with them. I was
Yeah,
so foobarred. Man, I had a blast. But I'm glad it's over. Afterwards, I came down with a little bit of a sinus deal. But I'm playing injured. I'm ready to go.
ready to go. How's it? Is the pollen down there in Louisiana as bad as it is over here?
With the what? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. The seasons. They'll have you. That shit gets in your system, and that'll have you sneezing for days.
I'm telling you, my eyes have been telling me to stay inside. How my allergies been kicking my ass. I'm telling you, Morocco. This weekend, we literally just had one of our favorite events, the holy grail of the NFL Combine, where we got to see some of the higher ranked guys, some of the middle, and some of the sleepers that we might eventually be talking about further along as this off season goes. But what do you think? What did you think overall of the combine, of the clips that you were able to see, and the guys that you were interested in?
Um, it turned out to be an all-time. Uh, I mean, we've already known
Oh,
that
actually,
this
my
is
bad.
going to
Excuse
be.
me. Sorry, my bad, Rocco. I'm a little rusty. I totally forgot our whole schedule, man. We're going let us before we get to the combine talk.
That's what's
This
called a
because
tease.
yeah, there's been a lot of news today, man. I personally have enjoyed it. My Dallas Cowboys, we've been making moves. We signed our boy Osa. It's great things. We
Oh, how
restructured.
much how much you paid him?
We paid him 20 mil for 4 years. So he comes around like the 14th most paid defensive tackle in the game. I ain't taking that
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, that's a big re-sign. And I also saw that you guys did a restructure with Dak, opening up about $36 million. So that should
Oh
help
hell
get
yeah.
get people in the door. Hopefully,
Oh hell yeah, bro.
it
We
looks
hit.
like to me this is what you want to see from your team, the Dallas Cowboys, because usually they sit on their hands, all off season until the very end. It seems, at least that's what it seems like as an outsider. What do you
Oh,
think
that's
about
that's
some of these
exactly.
moves?
That's exactly how previously the Cowboys have moved to where we wasn't really making waves in the free agency game until maybe like the third, fourth week into free agency, and we're just now restructuring guys' contracts. And where we could have done that before free agency and had that extra money laying around to go make moves, I'm happy. A lot of the things in the Cowboys fan base, it's been a lot of back and forth because you have this one side of the fan base that's been, like I said, we every year we go through it, and I guess last year broke the camel's back, and now they're skeptical of any move that the Cowboys end up doing, and thinking, okay, but what's next? I think personally, what is different between this year and previous years is that the timing of when we're doing things is totally different. We've getting these restructures out the way before free agency, giving us time to, giving us the capital needed if we want to go get two, three guys. Do I expect us to be top buyers, tier one guys? No, but I do see us making a run for those tier two level guys. So
Mhm.
I personally, I am optimistic this off season with a rookie head coach. I think they're going to do, and I think they also believe in Shoddy. I think they're going to do what they can to get him the weapons or pieces needed to be successful. But this is a good time. Free agency is literally, I believe, a week and a half, 2 weeks away. I think it might be even a week and a half away. So
The
this is the
legal
fun time.
tampering period, right?
Yeah, the legal tampering period. We had a couple other news to broke today. Christian Kirk is out as a Jaguar. The last 2 years, he hasn't been able to stay healthy, breaking his clavicle. And I don't know if you knew, but last year he actually was going to be traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers before breaking his collarbone. How do you think, how and what do you think of Christian Kirk and the dynasty, community? Do you still believe in Christian Kirk? Do you think he could still be serviceable? And what teams do you think will be bidding for his services?
I think there's a lot of teams that can use his services. It's hard to say somebody's washed when they're 28 years old. So
Mhm.
coming on 29, that's still, in the back end of his prime. I mean, he's had some injury issues, but a lot of guys go through injury issues. And as long as it's not anything that's going to be a long-term issue, which these teams should look at in the process. So was he cut or is he being traded? What
He's
was
being released. Yep, he's
He's
being
been
released.
released? Okay,
Yep,
okay, I didn't catch that. Yeah, I think he could go right back to being a target for the Steelers. They were in on him before, and all they have is George
Pickens. Yeah.
Pickens. So the Steelers could definitely use somebody that can get open, in the short and intermediate areas of the field on a consistent basis. So I think he'll have a robust market because receiver is very much needed in today's NFL. And with a bit of a weaker class incoming, and with other wide receivers getting a little bit old, and like we've talked about previously, being such a weak free agent class,
Mhm.
he goes right up near the top with Davante Adams as well, um,
Yep,
with
another
the
guy.
free
Yep.
agency list because you know he is a position of need.
Yep, I agree. That was another wide receiver. I feel like it's been a lot of wide receiver news this either today or for this beginning of, let's say, free agent period. But Davante Adams was another receiver that is being released by the New York Jets, which we all kind of saw after we saw them move on from Aaron Rodgers, right? I think, and then when we've seen in years past where Davante Adams either goes follows Aaron Rodgers or he goes follows Derek Carr, right? I think this year will be different. I think this year he's going to go try to go to a contender and go make a run for a Super Bowl. I think, I was talking with one of my coworkers today of he doesn't think Davante Adams would get 20 million on the market, and I'm just like, Keenan Allen is 32,
He getting
and he
paid.
and he's getting paid. So no, Davante Adams is he because he was like, oh, I don't see Davante Adams making over 15 million, getting paid over 15 million a year. Guys, and this is I gave him a list of guys who make under 15 million a year right now. Cameron Sutton was one of them. I think Alan Lazard was one of them. I'm like Davante Adams is light years ahead of these guys, as still at 32, right? So I still think Davante Adams can produce. One of my predictions or one of my favorite places for him to end up because they really need his kind of receiver is the Los Angeles or sorry, the yeah, no. Yes, the Los Angeles Chargers. I had to think because it used to be San Diego. Messing me up right now. The Los Angeles Chargers, I think, would be a wonderful place with Justin Herbert and with Lad McConkey in the slot. I think they really need an X receiver. Quentin Johnson experiment. He had an up and down last year, and career wise, he's going into year three. Hopefully, uh, he can continue to add to his bag. But right now, I think they need another receiver in there, and Davante Adams can very much be that guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Makes me a little nervous for my Lad McConkey shares because he will definitely eat into that target share. Um, but yeah, yeah, that team definitely needs another receiver. I could also see them making a move for a tight end, just
Hmm.
to get some weapons around Justin Herbert, who had a great season last year, but in the playoffs it proved that he needs more than Lad McConkey to be successful. So that team is in the very early stages of building, and I'm really confident in that organization to keep on the right track. Harbaugh, really brought that team. He brought them to the playoffs, and what do we say every year about the Chargers? They're always the last team that fucks up down the stretch,
Yep.
finds ways to lose, and this year they found ways to win and found a way to get into the playoffs. Basically, after gutting some of the identity of that team, cutting Keenan Allen, cutting
Yep.
Mike Williams, who was hurt,
Hmm.
but that team is definitely going in the right direction, and I kind of do believe in Harbaugh and my guy Herbert to really bring that team's offense to another level.
Another guy that we saw get released today, Tyler Lockett, the long time Seattle Seahawk. And boy, if JSN stock didn't go up because of this, we also have more Seattle Seahawks news. DK Metcalf wants the fuck out of Seattle. Boy, I was literally just talking to somebody on Twitter where they were like, "Oh, I don't see the Tyler Lockett release being giving JSN production more of a boost." And I'm just like, okay, what do you think? First off, he was wide receiver in nine with Lockett on the team. Where do you think those targets that went to Lockett have to go between him, Metcalf, the tight ends, whatever? Now Metcalf came out and said, I want the hell out of Seattle. That if Lockett getting released wasn't a boost, shit, that's definitely could send JSN to the moon. I don't know what's going on in Seattle, but they just got a new offensive coordinator and Kubiak from yours truly, the Saints. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure. Like I don't know what could be. Maybe DK Metcalf has just had it over there, but
Well, I
it's
could tell
those are
you
the
what it
guys.
is.
Hmm,
DK Metcalf wants $30 million, and Seattle
he's not.
not gonna pay him. I doubt anybody gonna pay him $30 million, except a team that is truly desperate for a wide receiver one. I can see New England getting in on this bidding
That's
because
all I
he
seen today.
is because he is the prototype look for a guy they need, and he's different from every other receiver they have on the team. So if we think about that team as different prototypes, they got plenty of smaller guys. They got some quick guys, but they don't have an alpha
They
male
don't.
looking DK Metcalf. Not too many teams do. He's built more like a tight end than a wide receiver, but that would be a great landing spot for him. And I'm hearing that he could be had for a third right now. So I'm surprised more teams aren't going to be on him. I know, I mean, I feel like he's not a very good football player, um, if I can make sense of that. I don't think he's very good at football, but I think he is like the most athletic guy basically at his position from a size, speed. perspective. So hopefully he can go to somewhere where they can kind of get him, kind of teach him more the finer points of being a wide receiver. Getting those toes in bounds on a consistent basis. Not disappearing for long stretches. But he's a guy that I think that I might be back in on if he goes somewhere else. It just seems like his career has run its course with Seattle, and I'd like to see him, you know, link up with a different team and see if they can maximize his potential because, as far as athletically, his athletic
Yeah, out the
prowess
roof.
is through the friggin' roof.
Yeah, through the roof. And DK Metcalf, I think, is as we saw Josh Jacobs say he's looking for that alpha. We need a wide receiver one on the team. I don't think it gets bigger than DK Metcalf, right? And I've also had to hear from Cowboys Nation all day today. We need to trade for DK Metcalf. We need DK Metcalf. CD and DK Metcalf will feed families, and maybe it would. But he's also looking for a new contract, and
Let me,
it's not. Go ahead.
I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just
Really
looking
good.
at something. Let me put it into perspective the athleticism of this guy. I'm not just talking shit here. According to Player Profiler, he has a 98th percentile 40-yard dash, 4.33, speed score 100 percentile, burst score 97th percentile, catch radius 92nd percentile. Let's not talk about his agility, but he's super, super elite in almost every category. And his best comparable, Andre Johnson. Our good friend Chris is gonna likes to hear that
I can see
name.
that. Yeah, I can see that. Their body frame are relatively the same thing, and most people don't know Andre Johnson was fast as hell coming into the NFL. I think he ran in the 4.3s actually coming out of Miami. So Andre Johnson don't is once again another underrated guy. If you grew up watching football and you love it, I think one of the best fights in the NFL was him and Cortland
Yeah.
Pennick. So it's
Oh, he
I
beat
think
he beat his ass.
whooped his ass, boy. So no, I think with Tyler Lockett being released, that I don't, and I honestly don't even no, I still think he might. He's Tyler Lockett is a hard for me because he's over 30. He's one of those guys. He did play a full season last year, so that's
Hmm.
one thing to get on. But he's not the guy that we seen earlier in his career. That he's not that guy we saw from 2018 up until like 2022
Hmm.
ish of being in that. I posted this on our Fourth and Fantasy Twitter page through 2019 and 2022. He didn't, bless you, he didn't
Thank you.
finish any, he didn't finish below wide receiver 15 throughout those seasons. So that tells you how consistent he was throughout those years for Seattle. Now, who one of the places I say potentially see him going to, maybe the Las Vegas Raiders is
Hmm.
potential. One of those people that could, a good mold, he can go in and teach the young guys in there. But I think he
Go
only
back and
has a
play with
year
his
or
old
two.
coach.
Yeah, I'm telling literally in Pete Carroll. But I say he only has about a year or two left in the tank. One day
Hmm.
he probably calling it quits. But guys like Davante Adams, I know like they're both on the wrong side of 30. But I also think Davante Adams doesn't have the durability issues as a Tyler Lockett has or a Christian Kirk has. I think he's more of a sure thing to whereas Christian Kirk, Tyler Lockett, you hoping those guys stay healthy for a whole 17 game season.
Hmm.
And then you're also hoping that they are still serviceable. One thing about Christian Kirk is he broke his collarbone. It's not like he tore an ACL. It's not like he tore a meniscus or a ligament, things in that nature. He broke his collarbone. It's looking like he'll be back. So and as we seen, as the more time goes on, more wide receivers are being added to this wide receiver class for free agency. So we did lose T Higgins, and that's still to be seen. He could still be traded. We'll see on that one. but
Hmm.
we still got like Chris Godwin, we still have Christian Kirk, Davante Adams, things guys like that. DK Metcalf is looking like he's on the move. So this should be fun. I think a lot of teams. I think this year because the free agent class isn't great. I think
Hmm.
we're going to see more trades between teams going around. Just like earlier today with the Chicago Bears, they traded for the Kansas City Chiefs guard Joe Thuney, I believe Thuney, uh, one of the All Pro Bowl guard from the Chiefs. After just trading for a guard from the Rams, I personally think that's a great indication on what Ben Johnson is looking to do in 2025. What did we see last year? Caleb Williams running for his goddamn life. They couldn't block nobody, right? They're trying to make sure that he stays upright and also trying to improve that running game. And it's not always about switching out running backs, it's about improving the offensive line. We got to remember, Detroit Lions had a really good offensive line before Jamar Gibbs got there. Now, Ben Johnson comes into Chicago. Who was a running back in Detroit when he was there? DeAndre Swift. I still believe in DeAndre Swift as a whole overall running back. What I think, what I think Ben Johnson really wants to do, he wants to keep Caleb Williams upright. He wants to improve the running game and bring those guys in is of the first start. And I don't think he's done there because there's 3, 4 guys they need to upgrade from on that offensive line. I think they still look at Will Campbell from LSU to tackle, and then I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the Mizzou tackle who absolutely obliterated the whole NFL combine.
Hmm.
I think they're going to be in the market for those guys. But what do you think?
You talking about Armand Membu from Missouri,
Yep, that's
offensive
him.
tackle?
That is him.
Um, yeah, I mean, this has a lot of similarities to the two to the two signings that Carolina made before last year to beef up
Yep.
that interior of the line. And it didn't work right away, but by the end of the season, second half of the season, Bryce Young was he was balling, and what he needed was protection. Keep that pocket, nice and comfortable in there, and hopefully
Mm.
that's what he can do for Caleb Williams as well. But you know, Caleb Williams also has to be a little bit more disciplined. I feel like sometimes he runs out of a clean pocket, so he's gonna have to learn to hang in there and trust the protections. And it sounds like Ben Johnson is, helping him to trust the protection in 2025 because he is investing heavily in it. So yeah, I feel like this can only help Caleb Williams, help the running games. I'm not too convinced on
The
DeAndre
Swift.
Swift. I think he has
Yeah.
all the talent in the world, but just something's off about him. His vision's terrible. But he's an amazing athlete, and I've been a believer in his for years. But I'm kind of off the wagon, and that's probably when he'll kick me in the ass. Is as soon as I jump off the wagon, he'll have a resurgent year. But I could see this team drafting a running back, maybe in the early second, and maybe a Caleb Johnson as a guy they can look at in the early second to pair up with
DeAndre.
Caleb Johnson. I think it would be irresponsible of them to draft Ashton Genty because that team has so many other needs, and it's
Yeah.
such a deep draft. I saw somebody call it a game of chicken with the running backs because there's so many. It's like, how long can I afford to wait? And if I miss on Genty, I'm maybe not that upset because I can grab a Quinshon Judkins, Omarion Hampton, who a lot of people like,
Hmm.
guys that tested as all-time athletes. So, there's definitely going to be options, but I always endorse strengthening the offensive line. It's the part most fans don't see, but it's probably the most important part besides quarterback on offense.
That actually is a perfect transition where we almost went to at the beginning of the show, but we had to backtrack a little bit. We're going to be talking about the NFL Combine because, god damn it, I was all in tune to that shit Saturday. We're going to talk about some of the winners and some of the losers. There was a lot of winners, I'm telling you, a lot. And then the more that I watched Saturday, it started off with the it started off with the quarterbacks. I believe it because Saturday was quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. And I think running backs ended up taking the show. And obviously right because this is a RB heavy draft. But some of the winners that I saw and kind of before the draft, it had me like, I don't think I really want that right now. But some of the mock drafts had Omarion Hampton going to us at the 12th overall, and I'm like, hell no, y'all got me all the way fucked up. But then I was like, I'm watching this man go through the combine, and let me go ahead and share my screen with real, real quick and go through get these guys' stats, right? Let's look at Omarion Hampton. He first off, can we talk about how big he is and stout he is? When I saw a picture of how big that boy is, I was like, that is a grown ass man on my mama. So he is 6 foot, 220 plus pounds. This boy ran a 4.46 split time, 1.54, had a vertical jump of 38 inches, a 20-yard shuttle of 4.4, and then also hit 18 bench reps. That gave him a athleticism score of 82, which ranked ninth among running backs. He has a production score of 84, which is fourth among running backs. And overall, total score, fourth out of all running backs. What I liked from Omarion Hampton is what we saw. You can see what throughout his combine workout is what we see in film. Super explosive. When he he gets downhill fast, right? Some of the things that I did see throughout his workout that you could also see on film when you make him have to change directions, when he has to move, when one of the drills that he had, I'm forgetting the name of the drill, but I think it was called the Deuce Staley drill, and you have to make a cut laterally. He looks a little stiff when he has to do that, but goddamn, I had to go back just rewatch his film again. Not to say that I didn't watch it the first time, but just to get an overall feel of if the Dallas Cowboys did end up taking Hampton at 12, could I live with it? And I came away with I could, but then the rest of these running backs started going, and I'm like, there's no way with the needs that we have that we can go RB in the first round. That's why all the reports of us saying Ashton Jitty to the Cowboys, we have come out and said we're not looking at running back. We're right now not looking at running back in the first round. So the other guys that I thought that were in that winner column were Quinshawn Judkins. Once again, I think we also need to know how big this overall class is in size. Judkins, over 220 plus pounds, ran a 4.44. And if I go back, there we go. Let's look at Quishon Judkins real quick. He posted, listen, at 92, this need to, listen, I don't like at 220 some pounds, athleticism score of 92, second overall in his class. He ran a 4.48. He ran a faster 10-yard split than Omarion Hampton. We didn't get the three cone out of him. We did get the 20-yard shuttle or bench press, but we did get a 38.5 vertical jump, which shows you explosion. If you didn't know, vertical jump measures explosion. So does the broad jump. That also measures explosion, which he did 11 feet. That is really good for a guy his size. I think overall, the running backs that we saw, whether it was a Marion Hampton, whether it was a Quinshawn Judkins, whether it was a Trevion Henderson that we saw some of the top guys, Ashton Genty didn't work out. I think that was kind of smart for him because at this point he is RB1. There's really not much for him to prove per se.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want him to come out and run a 4.6, and then all of a sudden people are questioning if he's the RB1.
I'm telling you. So I could see his agent in his ear, like, "Nah, brother, you don't need to run today." After we saw all these blazing times, man, like, tell me about some of the winners that you have. Before I literally have a whole list here, but tell me about some of the winners that you thought really killed the combine.
I really liked. I also like Hampton. Let me see if I can share something with you guys real quick.
Yeah, let
Uh,
me stop sharing.
oh, all right. You can't see that, huh? Let's see. Check check this shit out. Look at that. It's all up here.
Mm-hmm.
86th percentile 40-yard dash, 93rd percentile speed score, uh, 92nd percentile burst score, which, like you said, that's vertical, as
Yo,
well as the broad jump. 35%, 38.5, almost a 40% college dominator rating. That means
that's a
he was
yeah.
accounting for like all of the offense. Him and Drake May, even with Drake May, he was still accounting for 40% of the offense in his college career. 6 yards per carry,
Mm-hmm.
and he even had an 85th percentile target share. So you know he can catch the ball, and he has some great highlights. I remember earlier in our show we saw a play where he jumped over the line
Uh,
and then trucked like three guys to get into the end zone.
yo,
I mean, it's just crazy athleticism that he brings to the table. Another guy I like is R.J. Harvey. Um, he
speak on
ran
him.
super. He ran
Speak on
super
him.
fast. Let me pull his stuff up here
Speak
real
on RJ
quick.
Harvey was his combine was so much fun. First off, he is a shorter back, but he is stocky, isn't he? And then when I saw him run his 40, boy, was he going.
Boy, did they have the coolest?
I
His
saw the I saw
college
it.
did
I
some
saw
cool shit if we could find that. He where he ran his 40 and they seamlessly melded it into him running a long touchdown.
did it.
But yeah, this guy. I mean, we're talking about R.J. Harvey, who could be a third class. Maybe not anymore, but 95th percentile 40-yard dash, almost a sub 4.4 at 4.40. 91st percentile speed score, 89th percentile burst score. This draft, I mean, what we learned from the combine is that these running backs are every bit as athletic as advertised. You know,
Hmm.
not only are they size speed specimens, production specimens, but they also tested out of the friggin' box. So I mean,
Yeah,
how can you
killed
not be
it.
excited for these guys?
Killed it. I tell you, I think a lot of these guys, or a lot of these running backs, would be ahead of the running backs last year. Right. I think
Wait, say that again.
some of these running backs this year would be higher than the running backs last year.
Oh, last year the only guy that can compete would be our guy from Tampa Bay,
Bucky. So
Bucky Irving.
I think some other guys that aren't top level, I would say, are Bashar Tutton, whatever you want to call it. I'd say I
hundred
won't say.
percentile speed score, four
I'm telling
three
you,
two. He's the
he
fastest guy. He's got the fastest time for a running back ever.
he really for me. I already knew he was going to run fast. He comes from a track family, so just add. And then when you look at him on film, he never really gets caught. You see the burst, you see the speed on when he's going against defenders. Even when they have an angle on him, they don't catch him. Brashard Smith. had a really great day. He tested as a running back and wide receiver. He ran a 4.39. Absolutely loved it. Taj Brooks, another that's one of the guys we spoke about earlier on one of our episodes. Looked really good for his size. Ran on the 4.5s, I believe 5'9", 5'10" ish at like 218, 220 pounds. Looked really fluid in those on field drills that we saw. I think Brashard Smith easily has
Mm.
one of the top acceleration in his class. He knows how to accelerate so quickly, and I think he's going to be used as a weapon. When he, I personally want to see him go to a team that's super creative, that he can be involved in the passing game
Mm.
as well as in the still get carries in the running game as well. But there's also receivers. Oh no, actually, before we go to the receivers, I did find a clip of R.J. Harvey.
Show that clip.
I thought that was really cool. I was like, whoever came up with this editing, kudos to you. Like that is that is so cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That was one of the highlights, posted on social media coming out the
Oh yeah,
combine. That was pretty legit.
yeah, man. And if you
The
go
guy's
back
the
and you look at,
future.
I'm telling you, if you go back and look at R.J. Harvey's highlights, he's doing that constantly. Like it's hard. And once again, look how stocky that boy is. But some of the other guys, and I will even mention on the receiver because I honestly believe this wide receiver class is a lot more talented than people are giving it credit for. Now, is it as elite as we saw last year? Hell no, because we had rookies goddamn post top 10 fucking seasons, multiple rookies post top 10 seasons.
Hmm.
You don't really see that much, but a couple of guys that I think increased their stock were Matthew Golden. He ran the fastest 40 among all receivers at a 4.29. You don't really see
Hmm.
that on film though. So that's what I thought was a little bit, you know, eh. And then you have Luther Burden. I didn't know he was as big as he was actually. 6 foot, 200 pounds, runs a 4.4, had a really good day. A person who keeps getting brought up. Actually, two guys that we spoke about on our show when we spoke about the Senior Bowl, I believe, was Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. Both
Hmm.
put on a show at the combine. I have them both as winners. Kyle Williams is a day three guy that I absolutely loved. And I would have to say, if you didn't know about him before, Deontay Thornton from Tennessee, 6'4", 220 some pounds, ran a 4.30. Like, oh my goodness, it's these. And shoot, how could I even forget? My bad, my boy. Jalen Royals ran in the
Hmm.
4.4s, which he's not even 100%. I think he says he's like 88, 9 to 95%.
So he might be running a sub 4.4 by the time his pro day comes along.
Right. Yeah, I can easily see him in them 4.3s. But what did you think about that wide receiver group that we saw?
I think, as funny as it might sound, even though last year gave us some super elite, right out the box wide receivers, I feel like this draft, when we look back at it, is going to probably be a deeper wide receiver draft. And what I mean is, there's going to be more guys with roles in the NFL, and there's some excellent sleepers in this draft. And that's not even talking about some of the guys that didn't test, like Miki Abuka and Tet McMillan.
Yeah.
I think Jaden Higgins. I'm not sold on him all the way as an outside X receiver, but I think he'd be a hell of a inside big
Power
slot
slot.
guy,
Yeah.
power slot. And those guys are super valuable in fantasy because they tend to be target hogs. He's a guy that I would kind of like the Saints to get, as a value maybe in the third round. Jalen Noel, I mean, the secret's out the bag. I mean, that guy kicked ass in the Senior Bowl. Um, he had a kick ass um, combine where he was
Oh
one of the
yes.
most athletic guys there,
Hmm.
and people forget he had 1,100, damn near 1,200 yards last year. So it's not like he's doing all this without any production. He produced in a big time way last year with another with a number one type of receiver on the other side of him. So the sky's the limit for that guy. I don't know too much about Kyle Williams. You gotta tell me about him, but Jalen Noel and Matthew Golden are my clear winners from this class, and with the way they tested, they really lift the floor up for this entire draft, which last year
Hmm.
had an amazing first round selection, maybe up to 15 to 16, 17 guys last year.
Yeah.
This year, I'm gonna be drafting quality guys that will have real roles in the NFL in the fourth fucking round. I'll be getting
Yeah.
guys off of free agency who are
Free.
not just flyers, guys that will actually be hell of a pickup. I mean, I can imagine there's gonna be it happens every year, but this year especially, people are gonna blow their fabs right after drafts because that's just how much talent they have in this draft.
They're gonna blow them loads, man. Let me. I'm sorry, y'all. I just had to. I apologize. I couldn't help myself, y'all. But listen, where we have winners, we obviously have to have losers. And I hate it to even put him on this list because I was rooting for my G. I was rooting for my short king, Tez Johnson, which I think he put up a weird workout. Like he ran in the 4.5s at 150 some pounds. I think he's only 5'9", but he posted elite numbers in the three cone. Basically, all agility drills posted elite numbers, but the explosion drills, and maybe he just had an off day. But he also, out of all the receivers, hit the highest miles per hour.
Mhm.
So it's his workout is it's a hit. I don't know how to feel about it. Am I still going to be acquiring me some Tez Johnson? Hell yeah. You know why? Because I feel like I can get him even later now, and I don't have to get him in
Yeah.
that mid second round. I think he's going to slide a bit,
He's our
and I'll
free agent,
gladly,
man.
you know, what I'm saying
He's
I'll
one of those
gladly get.
priority free agents we gonna have to go after.
I'm telling you, so I'll gladly get my guy. Another loser. I hate to, I don't want to call him. He's not a loser, but as a loser's column goes, Woody Marks from USC running back. I really thought he
Mm.
was supposed to run faster, and he's supposed to be a blazer, if you will. That's supposed to be his game, and he didn't run well at all. Didn't like what I saw from him on the on field workouts as well. I just don't think. I just think there was other guys that looked way better than him, and he just got lost in the crowd per se. You know, in a very
He's
deep RB class, I don't like
yeah,
him.
he tested out a lot slower than we anticipated. And he's 24 years old, so those are a couple red flags. Something that is going in his favor is he does have a 90th percentile college target share, so I think at the very least he will find his way on the field as a satellite back, a guy that catches passes. Um, but we may not see much more of a role than that if he is actually this unathletic. But the good thing is a lot of these guys will get a second chance to redeem themselves at their pro day
Yup.
because like the next guy we're going to talk about, Gunnar Helm, he tested
Oof.
extremely poorly, but he
Oof.
did turn his ankle coming off the blocks for his 40 time, so
Yeah.
that could have a lot to do with it. And maybe we learned a little bit more about him. The fact that he's a warrior and went through all the workouts, banged up. So maybe that's something to consider. But the good thing is these guys will have a second chance at their pro day.
Mm.
But that's going to be their last chance to impress as far as workouts go.
Question for you, Rocco. Do you think it hurt Elijah Ario from Miami that he wasn't able to work out at the combine?
Was he hurt?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's hurt, to me, for these guys, if they're hurt, I would rather just not test because they cost themselves a lot of money if they go out
And
and do
lay an
these
egg.
workouts hurt
Hmm.
and put up some really bad performances because it shouldn't matter as much as the film grade. But you see it every year. Guys fall tremendously from their workouts. Look at Bucky Irving.
Oh
Um,
man, what?
what he
Oh
went
my God.
in the fourth round. In rookie drafts, he was
Yeah,
barely drafted.
yeah,
Um,
crucified.
and I know these guys. Our rookie drafts isn't their top priority, but the money they make in the NFL is. So I think it's smart if you're not going to test well, and you're not going to test well because you're injured, because you're harboring some kind of ailment that should be good by your pro day. Don't fucking test. You're
Don't
gonna cost
test.
yourself money.
And with Ario not, I feel like it's Ario. With Ario
Arroyo,
not Arroyo.
Arroyo.
Arroyo. Without him testing, somebody who did catch my eye, who I wasn't too. Once again, I think tight ends might have to be one of the groups I go back and rewatch. But Terrence Ferguson from Oregon had a really great day. Actually, posted the third best athleticism grade, 83, at 6'5", 247 pounds. He ran a 4.63 10-yard dash, a 1.55, the same 10-yard dash as we saw with running backs, and a vertical jump of 39 inches. Man, if I think, and if you go look at his film from Oregon, he kind of reminds me of a baby, of a little baby McBride. If I'm being quite honest, so that I think Terrence Ferguson, you have now became one of my sleeper tight ends, and I'm watching you, my big fella.
He looks like such a Chad. I'm looking at his player profile page, but yeah, he really impressed, and as a lot of us know, um, athletic testing for tight ends has a big time correlation on how good that tight end is going to be. If we look at the tight ends that are near the top, basically all of them are size, speed, athletic freaks, and he looks like one of them as well with an 86 percentile 40-yard dash, 86 percentile speed score, and a 94th percentile burst score, helped out by that damn near 40-inch vertical. I mean, this guy should be playing like power forward in the
Mhm.
NBA. I mean, with that kind of vertical, but um, yeah, guys that can you know produce like he does, like he did, in college, and the athletic freak that he is. He's a
Mhm.
guy that's very intriguing. I mean, if we're talking about a guy that might be there in the fourth round, and it could be a steal.
Yeah, Rocco. Listen, we get into that time of the year, that time of the off season where shit's about to start hitting the fan, man. And I don't even think we're done seeing certain players either get released or be moved. It's just the beginning. We haven't even hit free agency yet, which starts. Actually, I'm looking at the time period. Negotiation period starts March 10th through March 12th. And this is where teams are permitted to contact and enter contract negotiations. Basically, as we say, the legal tampering period, and then after that we get to April, and that's when teams start to really get into their off season, workout programs, and then we got the draft at the end of April. So literally, we get into that. We got March, and then we got to the end of April, and then we got our rookie NFL draft then, and then we actually have our fantasy rookie drafts. Oh boy, this is the time. This we get into that fun time now, and we going to keep diving in. We back from our little week hiatus, and we're going to be back dropping another episode, recording another episode Sunday. Probably looking more into these free agents that are going to be coming up and seeing where they're going to land. But that has been our wonderful episode 34. Actually, we're about to
34.
get. I'm telling you, we're about to get to the 40s, and looks like I said, the wheels are going to keep rolling. And Rocco, it's always a pleasure, my G.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we got some special guests in the works for y'all, so stay
Well,
tuned and keep rolling with us. We are we are in the deep portion of the off season, and we just had another big piece of the puzzle happen with the combine, and now we got a lot more coming up with the free agency class coming up. So it's an exciting time, and I can't wait.
I can't wait. And we're gonna be back at it, baby. Sunday. Catch y'all. Be there or be squared or shut the fuck up, 'cause we don't want to know your topic at all. We back at it. This is Fourth in Fantasy. I'm Hancho, he Rocco. Until next time.
Go.